Hey everybody, are you ready for some chaos? Welcome to Rough Draft Saturdays. This is where I take you behind the scenes of my writing process, the good, the bad, and the downright messy. Rough drafts are wild, and I have a feeling so will these episodes be, but that's where the magic happens, I guess. These videos are going to be more laid back, less scripted, and just about the projects I'm working on. I'm currently working on two of them. One is a sci-fi fantasy epic called Age of Disorder that I've been writing for it's been like 12 years, and it's on its last round of edits, or so I've been saying for the last year and a half. And the other one is new, so let's talk about that one because that's where all my issues are. Welcome to Death of the Dragonflies. It's a story that I've been working on that's got everything I love. Apocalypse, monsters, and a group of scary kids just trying to, or scary kids, they're scrappy. A group of scrappy kids just trying to survive. I'm also trying my hand at a romantic subplot. Ugh, let me tell you, gross. I hate romance. It feels like every time I hear just the word, I feel like there's bugs crawling on me. It makes me so uncomfortable. But I feel like the only way to get better at writing is to push yourself beyond your comfort zone and write genres that you normally wouldn't write, because each genre has its own style, its own flair, its own way of writing things, and I feel like if you try your hand at all of them, then you get a better, more rounded way of writing in general. And romance is the one genre that I haven't touched with a 1,000-foot pole, so I thought maybe I would give it a try and see how it goes. It may or may not make it to the final draft, we'll see. Anyways, here's how it all started. I was binging some zombie shows, as one does, and realized, 1, they're horribly written, and 2, there are almost never any kids in these stories, and if there are, they're more background characters, and I get why. Showing kids in a post-apocalyptic settings is emotionally intense and gut-wrenching. Audiences often find it too difficult to watch or read about kids facing violence, death, or extreme hardships, because they have this innate sense to protect, and if you challenge that protective instinct too directly, it feels icky, like it feels taboo. And kids who are also introduced change the survival narrative. They're more vulnerable, often requiring protection, and their presence shifts the story from pure survival to one about caregiving, growth, and morality. While fascinating, this can make the plot more complex to manage, and apocalypse stories often explore themes like societal collapse, human morality, and survival of the fittest. Adults are often seen as the decision makers, and in these scenarios, sidelining kids happens because you can have bigger action scenes and bigger moral questions. But I also think it's important to show kids going through these scenarios as well, because if it were to happen, kids are going to be there anyways. Including kids in apocalypse stories can open up some amazing narrative possibilities, like exploring resilience, adaptation, and the unique way kids just see the world. It's so fascinating listening to a child talk about how they view things. So Death of the Dragonflies is my way of doing that. It's about these kids who live in a group home, so they've already been hardened by life, they've already been through some bad situations, and then they're thrown into this post-apocalyptic nightmare because I'm really mean when I write, apparently. There is this pathogen that turns people into these horrifying bug-human hybrids, and basically they just want to tear you into pieces. This pathogen also killed all the dragonflies, hence the title of the story. And most of the adults in their small town are either dead, turned, or gone. So that's where we start out with. The main crew is Fallon, otherwise known as Quick Draw. I'm still debating on the nicknames. I feel like it's a very kid thing to do. It would be a way to cope, like a secret identity. Like, oh, I'm not doing all of this. It's Quick Draw that's doing all of this, not Fallon. And you can't call me Fallon because I'm no longer Fallon. I'm Quick Draw. I feel like that's something like edgy teenagers would do. I don't know. It may stay, it may not. I started writing this story where the timelines are kind of jumbled. I started out 3 years after the apocalypse happened, when Fallon is 18. So she was 15 when it first started. But at the beginning of the book, she's 18, and then it would kind of jump back and forth. But I don't know yet. I don't know about that yet. It's kind of all, it's a mess. Anyways, we're talking about the characters. So there's Fallon, then there's Henry, or Bear, who's 17, and the twins, Oscar and Olivia, who are 12, and their nicknames are Frenzy for Oscar and Ooze for Olivia. The group is running low on supplies, and the town has been picked clean. They are stuck trying to decide whether to stay in their relatively safe hideout or venture out into the unknown. Along the way, they run into a group of scientists hunting for the research that started this whole mess. Here's where things get tricky, as you guys probably heard in my rambling before. I hate plotting. I hate it with a fiery passion. I would rather gouge my eyes out with a spoon. If it came down to me having to plot a story or save the world is doomed. I'm sorry, guys. It just is. And this has caused a lot of issues. The timeline, like I was saying, is all over the place. I wanted to start out 3 years after the fall of civilization, but I realized that there are some major things like the first kills and things like that, which would hold more impact if it happened in chronological order. And with my absolute hatred of plotting, it's created this mess. For example, let me tell you about this absolute train wreck of a chapter. There's a flashback and a flashback and a flashback. It is such shit writing. It's so bad. It's so bad. But you know, I've forced myself to move on because it's a first draft and that's just how things go. I'm using this story to dive into new things, so I know that there's gonna be things that I'm not good at, like the romance subplot. Timeline jumping is new for me. There's also the writing style. I was really excited about trying out this writing style. Kind of mimics Ray Bradbury a little bit. I love how he writes. I love his use of personification. I love his use of metaphors. I just love how he describes things. It reminds me of this poem by Lewis Carroll, who says, "Next, when you are describing a shape, sound, or tint, don't state the matter plainly, but put it in a hint, and learn to look at things with a sort of mental squint." And I love that. I think that that's how writing should be. Whereas nowadays, no hate on anybody, but a lot of the stories nowadays have lost that kind of magic to them. It's very straightforward. It's very easy to consume. It's kind of like, I see it more like brain rot, but in book form, which is completely fine. And it definitely has a market. There's a lot of people that love stories like those, but I wanted to dive further into like, what are some fun ways to describe things? And it's so funny because in college, the professors really pushed Ray Bradbury, but then they're also like, no personification. You can't use it. It's horrible. And it's like, all of Ray Bradbury's writing is personification. Or not all of it, but a lot of it is. It's a lot of metaphors and a lot of personification. And I love personification. I have been writing with personification since before I even realized what it was. Like, I remember I was in a creative writing group when I was 12, and I was writing this story, and someone was like, "Oh, nice use of personification." And I was like, what the fuck is that? And basically, for those of you who don't know, personification is where you take an inanimate object and give it human-like qualities. For example, instead of saying the clouds drifted across the sky, you could say they waltzed across the sky. It gives them this kind of, it puts a picture in your head. If you've ever seen anybody waltz, it's beautiful, it's flowy, it's slow. And that kind of puts it in your head that that's what the clouds are doing. They're just softly drifting back and forth. They're moving in a way that's just magical and musical. And I feel like it's a fun way to describe something that would otherwise be pretty boring if you just stated it. And that's what I wanted to do with my writing style here. I wanted to push myself and have found that it's harder than I originally thought, which is completely fine. I just need to do some more research, especially about the timelines. But that's also where I've hit my other roadblock, burnout. Now, when I get really excited about a project, I tend to go all in. By all in, I mean I hit 100,000 words just during the month of November. And then I pushed out another 30K early in December before completely burning out. My ADHD hyperfocus was on writing until about halfway through December, and is now on video games, so writing has been a struggle. Speaking of, if you guys would be interested in watching me stream video games, just let me know. It's just a thought, I'm playing them anyways, might as well do something with it. Anyway, my goal with this series is to take you all along my journey and really dive into how I write, my process, and hopefully along the way I could get back into that creative drive to write more. I'm thinking I'll share a scene or two from Death of the Dragonflies, maybe from Age of Disorder every Saturday, talk through the chaos of putting it all together, and maybe figure out how to get out of this creative rut. Thank you guys for sticking around while I ramble about my post-apocalyptic bug story. That's it for this week's Rough Draft Saturdays. If you enjoyed the chaos or just felt a little bit better about your own messy drafts, make sure to hit like, share it with your fellow wordsmiths, and subscribe for more. Got thoughts, questions, or ideas? Drop them in the comments. I would love to hear about them. Until next time, keep writing, keep dreaming, and don't stress about the mess. First drafts are supposed to be wild. See you all Monday for some quick tips.